Alright, today we're going to go over my Screech Warden build. Build is pretty simple and pretty easy. And it's very Fashion Scrolls friendly, which is always a plus. The gear is pretty easy to get, very straightforward. I run Bloodspawn, Tava's Favor, and Green Pact. Primary idea, of course, we're running Tava's, is to generate ultimate. Bloodspawn did receive a very minor nerf in Horns of the Reach, but it is not a huge nerf. It went from generating 15 ultimate to generating 14 ultimate. In the long run, it is not as bad as it seems. On my head, chest, and legs, I do run infused with tri-stat glyphs. On all other pieces, I run health enchantments. Major pieces, like I said, are infused. The minor pieces, such as the shoulder, hands, and waist, should all be sturdy. However, RNGesus is not kind to me, so I still have Divine's Bloodspawn shoulders. With the gear, I do run 6 heavy and 1 medium. The benefit that I get from the Undaunted passive that gives you extra stats for wearing different pieces of armor is not that worth it. I do end up sacrificing quite a lot of resistances to have that 1 extra light piece of armor, so I just use all heavy and 1 medium piece. Green Pact, pretty easy to get, might be a little pricey, but on the rings and neck I run reduce cost for blocking. Except for the neck, I do run Magicka Recovery. A lot of the abilities that you will be using are Magicka, so the extra recovery is very helpful. Weapons, sword and shield on both bars, and both of them are Tava's Favor. Like I said, this build is very Fashion Scrolls savvy, and I like that. For abilities, we run on the front bar, we run Bull Netch. You can run Betty Netch. I used that for quite a while. It was very effective. However, when I took this build to Vet AA, I ran out of stamina quite often, especially blocking the axes. So I swapped it to Bull Netch, and I almost never run out of stamina. And even my Magicka abilities with the extra regen and with the prismatic glyphs, I still almost never run out of Magicka, so Bull Netch is probably the way to go. For my taunt, I run Pierce Armor. This way the healer does not have to run Ellie Drain if they don't want to. I run Heroic Slash for the ultimate generation. I run Deceptive Predator, which gives you minor evasion, which then stacks with Shuffle's major evasion, giving you a total of 20% dodge chance. On the front bar, I also run Aggressive Warhorn. With the alt generation this build provides, you will have Aggressive Warhorn up. At a maximum, you'll have it up about every 20-25 seconds. If you have everything proccing at the same time, you will have it up every 10 to 15 seconds. Depends on what's going on in the fight. On the back bar, we have Shimmering Shield. The way Shimmering Shield works, however, is that you have to be absorbing projectiles. If a boss is all melee or you're being only hit by melee attacks, this won't proc, you don't have to cast it, and you miss out on the major heroism. But during big fights or with bosses that have ranged attacks. This causes your ult generation to go through the roof. Of course, we have Inner Rage for the range taunt. Polar Wind is an extremely effective self-heal. However, in Horns of the Reach right now, there is a small bug. If you aren't below missing 11% health, it does not heal you. So if I'm at 88% health, it will heal me. But if I'm at 90% health, it will not heal me. I've bug reported this. If you play a Warden, go ahead, bug report this. Let's get some attention on it. Ice Fortress for the minor protection is extremely effective, especially in groups. If you're fighting with a group that is spread out or in larger areas, using Deceptive Predator to get that major expedition is great because you can run to your allies or run around to cast this on them so that they can also get both major resolve and major ward. And then of course is Absorb Magicka. And then this Healing Thicket is the healing ultimate for Wardens. It costs 75 ultimate, and with the insane amount of ulti-gen this build produces, you will have this up almost immediately after it dissipates. It lasts for 6 seconds, and Healing Thicket also continues to heal you and your allies for another 6 seconds. I usually get this ult up every 8 to 10 seconds, so it's never not ticking. The amount of self-sustain that you get just from this ultimate is absolutely insane. This is great if you have an overly stressed out healer, a healer that is new to the game, or just an incompetent healer. With a food buff active, I have 43k health, 22k stam, and 17k magicka. With the maturation passive in the healing tree for Wardens, this goes up to about 47k. Mundus Stone is the Lord for the extra health. Champion points you can see here. And I'll just go over them here. They're pretty self-explanatory, so I'm not going over them in detail. For food and potions, I use Tristat Food and Tripods. Being an Argonian, Tripods, I almost never have to use these to heal myself, especially with the absolutely ridiculous healing that Healing Thicket does. And the amount of healing that you get from Polar Wind. I generally only use these to gain back stamina or magicka in case something happens. If I get extra spammy, or if I accidentally cast 2 abilities when I meant to only cast it once. That's generally the only time I have to use these. The rotation for this build is pretty simple. Most tank builds generally don't have a rotation. With a Dragon Knight, you taunt, you block. That's more or less how it goes. So for this, what you want to do is make sure that you have your Netch up at all times. You You screech. You shuffle. If there's a ranged enemy in the vicinity, you want to make sure Shimmering Shield is constantly up. But be sure that you're not overly spammy with it. It does last for 3 hits, so only cast it once that third hit goes down, or if it expires. Polar Wind. Generally you should have this ticking all the time, however I only use it when I need it. Ice Fortress, you want this going at all times as well. Absorb Magic I don't use very often unless I am taking insane amounts of magic damage. But that's generally it. You run through your buffs, make sure they are constantly ticking, make sure that you have Deceptive Predator and Shuffle up at all times so that you are proccing the ultimate generation from Tava's favor. Make sure you have your Shimmering Shield up when it is appropriate. Always keep your netch up, and go to town. Thanks for watching.